Relationships and Love by Simone de Beauvoir. Simone de Beauvoir, one of the most influential philosophers of the 20th century, had a deep and profound understanding of human relationships and love. She was part of the existentialist movement, which focused on themes like freedom, responsibility, and the meaning of existence. However, what set her apart from other existentialist thinkers was her nuanced exploration of relationships, particularly the dynamics of love between men and women. In de Beauvoir's view, love is a complex and sometimes paradoxical emotion that has the power to both elevate and diminish individuals. She believed that in order for love to be genuine and fulfilling, it must allow both partners to retain their independence and personal freedom. This was a crucial point for her, as much of her philosophy centers around the idea that people should not allow themselves to be defined or confined by others. To understand her thoughts on love and relationships, it is essential to first understand her broader existentialist philosophy. De Beauvoir believed that existence precedes essence. This means that humans are not born with a predefined nature or purpose. Instead, they must create their own meaning and identity through their actions and choices. People are radically free to shape their lives, but with that freedom comes the responsibility of defining who they are. This framework applies directly to her views on love and relationships. In traditional romantic relationships, especially those between men and women, de Beauvoir observed a power imbalance. Historically, women have been expected to submit to men and to base their identity and worth on their romantic relationships. For women, love was often seen as the ultimate goal of life, a path that would define who they were. Men, on the other hand, were encouraged to pursue careers, adventures, and other forms of self-expression outside the realm of love. De Beauvoir was highly critical of this one-sided dynamic. She argued that when love becomes an individual's sole purpose, especially for women, it can trap them in a state of dependency. If one partner in a relationship loses their sense of self to serve the needs and desires of the other, the relationship becomes unhealthy and unequal. In this kind of love, the person who submits becomes an object rather than a subject, losing their freedom and ability to define their life. De Beauvoir believed that genuine love should not be about possession or domination but should be rooted in mutual recognition of each other's freedom. She thought that love should be about two people coming together as independent beings, choosing to share parts of their lives without surrendering their autonomy. For de Beauvoir, true love is not about dissolving oneself into the other person, it is about creating a connection while still retaining the ability to make independent choices. She emphasized that love, in its healthiest form, should be built on equality. Both partners should feel that they are free to pursue their own interests and maintain their individuality within the relationship. This idea is particularly important in her feminist critique, as she saw many traditional relationships as stifling women's freedom. She encouraged women to develop their own identities outside of romantic attachments and to seek love that does not require them to sacrifice their autonomy. However, de Beauvoir did not dismiss love entirely, nor did she suggest that it was inherently problematic. She acknowledged that love could be a beautiful and fulfilling experience when it is based on mutual respect and freedom. She saw love as a way for individuals to transcend their isolation and connect with another person in a meaningful way. But for this to happen, both partners must recognize and respect each other's freedom, rather than trying to control or dominate one another. De Beauvoir's personal life was also reflective of her views on love and relationships. Her long-term partnership with the philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre was unconventional by the standards of their time. They maintained an open relationship, agreeing that they would not marry, live together, or have children. Both de Beauvoir and Sartre valued their intellectual and personal freedom, and they believed that a traditional, monogamous relationship might limit their ability to pursue other interests and relationships. Their relationship was not without its complications, and it was not necessarily a model that de Beauvoir recommended for everyone. However, it demonstrated her commitment to the idea that love should not involve the complete merging of two individuals into one. She and Sartre maintained separate lives and pursued other romantic relationships while still sharing a deep intellectual and emotional bond. De Beauvoir also wrote extensively about the emotional and psychological dimensions of love. She believed that love involves both joy and suffering, as the desire to connect with another person is always accompanied by the fear of losing them or being hurt. Love is fraught with risk, and it requires a certain level of courage to fully open oneself to another person. But this vulnerability is part of what makes love so powerful. It allows people to transcend their individual existence and experience a deeper connection with another human being. At the same time, de Beauvoir warned against the tendency to idealize love or to place unrealistic expectations on a romantic partner. She argued that no one person can fulfill all of another's emotional or psychological needs. When people expect their partners to be their everything, they are setting themselves up for disappointment and frustration. Instead, she suggested that love should be seen as one aspect of life, not the totality of it. People should cultivate other interests, relationships, and sources of meaning outside of their romantic partnerships. In addition to her focus on romantic love, de Beauvoir also explored other forms of human relationships. She wrote about the love between friends, the bonds between parents and children, and the connections people form with their communities. In all of these relationships, the themes of freedom, mutual recognition, and respect for autonomy were central. De Beauvoir believed that meaningful relationships of all kinds require individuals to recognize each other as equals, rather than trying to impose their will on others or reduce them to objects. In conclusion, Simone de Beauvoir's philosophy on love and relationships challenges traditional ideas about romance and partnership. She believed that love should be based on equality, mutual respect, and a recognition of each person's freedom. Rather than losing oneself in a relationship, de Beauvoir argued that individuals should maintain their autonomy and develop their own identities outside of romantic attachments. Her ideas continue to resonate today, offering a framework for thinking about relationships that prioritizes freedom, independence, and mutual respect. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about fascinating philosophical topics like this one, do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us bring you more content that explores the deepest questions of life and human existence. Thank you for watching.